What's up, guys? Jason up in New Age Revolution down here in the cave for another classic commercial conversations episode. That's right, we take a look at some of the best, amazing, memory-provoking commercials of our childhoods. We've been doing toys so far, and at the request of some of you, we're going to switch over to video games. That's right, over my shoulder, you see the biggest NES collection in North America. No, you see about 412. I lost count. 412. It's between 410 and 415. I don't know how many's up there. NES games right over there. And yeah, but NES and video games are not that big of a part of my life currently, or in the past even. But they were a part of it, and it all started, real quick, we're going to take a look at some Atari commercials here. And Atari was the first system that I had, and the same for many of you guys in the same age group. The first system we played was that pixelated Atari, and we loved it. It was the greatest thing ever, because it was the only thing ever, right? Oregon Trail on the computer, I guess, started us all off. But, the Atari made us all very, very happy. It was this concept where you would bring arcade games into your home, albeit very different graphics and very different appearance overall of the game. They were still arcade ports, so the popularity of arcades in the mid-'80s, in the early '80s rather, games like Space Invaders and Asteroids and Pac-Man got to come home. And even though they were not 64-bit or whatever we got up to before this new era of video games, I don't even know what bit they were. Like, what's Atari, right? Like 4-bit? I don't know. Nintendo was 8-bit. Anyway, even though they were crappy, we loved them. We loved them because they were the only thing we had. And our little brains, nobody's brains, could imagine, what would happen a few decades later with the PS5. So Atari was it. And it all started, Atari started with me when I was about 6. I got my first Atari when I was 6, and immediately began playing, bowling, the bowling Atari game, and Pac-Man we had, and Donkey Kong. And I remember thinking that Pac-Man was fantastic. I still do today. I know Pac-Man gets a lot of heat, I suppose, from the Atari aficionados that say that Pac-Man was a horrible, arcade port, but it was Pac-Man. I mean, it's fine. Had Atari for a long time. Had it. I didn't get a Nintendo until, I would say, like very late '86, maybe even into '87. I didn't get a Nintendo, and so I'd play Atari, and great. I mean, some of the best video game fun I had was on the Atari. Pitfall is a favorite. Any Activision games I remember were awesome. River Raid was awesome from Activision. They seemed like, Activision always seemed like the company that just produced a better graphics game, right? And the thing with Atari was that there were very few, if any, games that you could actually complete. Right, so we weren't playing to complete the game. We were playing to play and beat our high score. Good old days. Good old days. We had no idea what was coming, and we didn't care. Check out these classic Atari commercials now.
See your best pitch. You're out, Rose.
The Atari video computer system is 20 cartridges with 1,300 game variations you play on your own TV set.
You can't keep me in here, Atari.
Television tonight. Play it.
I I'd like an Atari 2600 system, please, and everything that goes with it.
Everything? You sure you want everything?
I want everything.
Now you get a new low price, up to $30 in rebate offers, and a free pack.
Is that everything?
It's not everything. You can get nearly 300 different cartridges.
300?
That's nothing.
It's something.
But it's not everything. Soon there'll be a voice module, trackball, remote control joysticks, and a computer keyboard.
It's amazing.
It's amazing, but it's not everything.
It's not everything.
Soon there'll be educational games, too.
Is that everything?
That's everything. For now.
For now?
The Atari 2600.
Now get up to $30 in rebate offers plus a free pack.
Atari Anonymous. My son Boris has a missile command problem.
My mission in life is to save all of mankind.
Lately, my daughter has developed a similar problem with Atari warlords. Now with video pinball, my husband is acting funny lately. With Atari games so ingenious, so involving, so intense, I ask you, Atari Anonymous, is this problem contagious?
You want to play Berserk? You're on. Hey, where are you going? The video arcade. You can't play Berserk at home. Now you can. Atari.
It's Berserk inside an electric maze, where robots shoot with electric rays.
Take that, turkey.
So look out, don't get trapped, or you might get zapped. Berserk is here from Atari.
Can you beat that?
And only for systems from Atari.
Have you played Atari today?
The centipedes are coming, and it's faster than a jet. If you're looking for some action, it's the game you gotta get.
Welcome to Club Atari. What's your pleasure? Break out? Ah, here's something new. Circus Atari.
Cartridges, video chess, football. Cartridge, sir? Fez is here.
We meet again, Fez.
Yes, a little game of Space Invaders, perhaps. What shall we play for?
For fun, of course. No other company offers you as many different video game cartridges as Atari.
Ah, the Atari. The memories, the innocence, the simplicity of the system. So great to see. I still have it. Mine's hooked up right there. I have what's called the Vader. I have the all black Atari. And what a beautiful piece of furniture too. The Atari was just sitting there on top of your console TV. That look captures the 80s for me. The Atari on top of the console. And a lot of families, they wouldn't even put it on top of the TV because you had to most likely pull it down and put it on the floor while you sat and played. Great stuff. So then 85 comes the Nintendo, and I learned about Nintendo in 6th grade when I went to public school. Not learned about it, but it became something that I needed to have when I began public school in 6th grade, 6th or 7th grade. And all these kids had the first couple of Nintendo Power issues in school. And, so you saw this next generation of video games, and it was amazing. And so I would play Nintendo with a friend of mine that lived down the street, and I forget what we would play. A lot of Metroid, but it was horrible. I mean, I truly am to this day horrible at video games. But the Nintendo came actually from my dad, which was another surprise because he's not a gift buyer. He's a practical gift buyer. He would buy you a toolbox when you were 10 instead of one of them Nintendo things. But anyway, he got us a Nintendo, and I remember, God, it's fuzzy, but we had Super Mario and Ghosts and Goblins, I want to say, was our first 2 games. And me and my sisters would play the Nintendo at his house, and we wouldn't have it at our house where we stayed with our mom. So we would only play when we visited my dad, which was a little bit torturous. But again, speaks to how separated we were from video games, right? The Nintendo was only at my dad's, and I think at that period we were seeing him every weekend, Friday to Saturday, I believe. So we would go all week not caring about the Nintendo, and then when we got there, it was like, let's play some Nintendo. And, you know, Super Mario was obviously the first game that we would play over and over again, because it's all we had. Ghouls and Ghosts, or Ghosts and Goblins, which was always really hard. I did end up getting Mike Tyson's Punch-Out at some point. And then it was just games, you know. We'd have an occasional game. I didn't have a lot of Nintendo games. They were expensive, and I didn't get them. And I wasn't an over-the-top gamer. So, you know, if I ever do, like, you know, my favorite NES games, I think I already did. Yeah, I think I already did. You'll never see games like Metroid or Contra on there, or Zelda, all the classic games that kids grew up playing. Because I wasn't a gamer. I didn't like them. I couldn't beat them. I was terrible at video games. But the Nintendo was, you know, a fairly significant part of childhood. The Nintendo Power magazines, again, they were always being passed around at school. And back then, that was the only way you were going to figure out how to beat... I remember the Nintendo Power was the only way I figured out how to beat King Hippo in Punch-Out, right? You couldn't do it. There were no playthroughs on YouTube. We had to wait for the Nintendo Power and hope that it had a tip about, you know, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. Maybe kids back then could figure out the King Hippo. I couldn't. You know, in games like Zelda, where like stuff is hidden in walls and behind, you know, you got to hit bushes and trees to find things. I would have never done that as a kid. That's why I never played a game like Zelda, because I would never know what to do. Anyway, still a big part of childhood. Check out these Nintendo commercials and let the memories flood back.
Will you be the one to witness the birth of the incredible Nintendo Entertainment System? The one to play with Rob, the extraordinary video robot, batteries not included. He helps you tackle even the toughest challenge. Will you be the first to raise the incredibly accurate Zapper and play games like Duck Hunt or action-packed Hogan's Alley and high-flying Kung Fu, each sold separately? Will you be the one to experience the Nintendo Entertainment System? Comes with Rob, Zapper, Control Deck, 2 controllers, Gyromite, and Duck Hunt.
What will the future bring from Nintendo? More hits like The Legend of Zelda. Sports hits like ice hockey. Nintendo has the most video game hits like Hogan's Alley and Donkey Kong Classics, and more like Excite Bike and RC Pro-Am. And you can play them only on the Nintendo Entertainment System. Now you're playing with power.
Did you see the latest Nintendo newsletter?
Whoa, nice graphics. I'd like to get my hands on that game.
You mean you haven't played it yet? We can play it on my Nintendo Entertainment System. It's The Legend of Zelda, and it's really rad. Those creatures from Ganon are pretty bad. Octoroks, Tektites, Levers, too. But with your help, our hero pulls through. Yeah, go Link. Yeah, get Zelda. Awesome. Intense.
The Nintendo Entertainment System. Your parents help you hook it up. The Legend of Zelda sold separate.
The challenge is Metroid. The power is Nintendo. Defend the planet Xephus against the evil Mother Brain. It's survival or destruction. Do battle or die. Metroid only from Nintendo. Play Rad Racer. Play with power. It's turbo speed in 3D. It's treacherous tracks, hot cars, hairpin turns. One mistake and you'll roll. Rad Racer, only from Nintendo. Now you're playing with power.
What's it like to play the Nintendo Entertainment System? Nintendo Entertainment System. Now you're playing with power.
Watch Zelda become a legend on your Nintendo Entertainment System.
Zelda!
Which way to
Go! Good times! Pee hands!
Levers!
Zelda! Zelda! Zelda!
The Legend of Zelda. A never-ending adventure new for your Nintendo Entertainment System.
Zelda!
You left him for dead in Konami's Castlevania. How foolish to presume he'd perish without leaving a curse. For now, in Simon's quest for Nintendo, fate stalks your very being, and you need more than clues from cowardly villagers to survive when day turns into night. But just keep telling yourself it's only a video game. It's only a...
Huh? Good night, Mom. Now it feels so in a Toys R Us store. Every toy I ever dreamed of, plus 18,000 more.
If your child is dreaming about Nintendo, the control deck with bonus game pack is only $79.97 at Toys R Us. Sapper light gun just $19.99. Game cartridges from $29.99 each at Toys R Us.
I dreamt I won the Super Bowl. I had a better dream.
Toys R Us. You'll never outgrow us.
I'm the creator of Ultra games for Nintendo, like Metal Gear, where you're a commando searching for deadly weapons. Defender of the Crown, with strategic castle sieges, babes in distress, and skate or die. In 5 rad events that pit you against a friend or bionic Lester, so check out Ultra games. Remember, I'm never farther than your TV.
Can watch those all day, guys. Can watch them all day. After Nintendo, that was the Nintendo NES was the final Nintendo system that I ever owned, up until the Wii and the Switch with the kids. But I immediately switched over to Sega Genesis. And I think it's because my uncle had a Sega Master System, and I would always play Sega at his house. And when the Genesis came out, I got one of those, and I had no interest in the Super Nintendo. I don't know why. I just didn't. And I had Sega. And I think I got drawn to Sega because of World Series Baseball. And I know that's the classic non-gamer, right? I got pulled to Sega because of a sports game that, real gamers laugh about, sports games. But I loved World Series Baseball because it kept stats. And ever since the, early Nintendo games with bases loaded, I loved carrying a notebook and playing out my own seasons and keeping my own stats. Now we get World Series Baseball and it does it for you. And that was incredible to me. So that's why I jumped over to Sega. And all my friends had Sega, and we would always play, NBA, Lakers versus Celtics. We would play the early Madden games because they had tournament systems built into the game. And this is the first time this is possible with video games, right? I guess if you get like the Nintendo Little League World Series, you can type in a code. But with the Sega, it's really the first time that you get this battery backup tournament. You could play tournaments. It wasn't just starting over every time you turned it off. So we all loved that. So that's how I became hooked on Sega. The PGA golf games, I loved. I know, I have the strangest taste in video games. Sonic versus Mario, whatever. I enjoyed Sonic the Hedgehog. There were really Road Rash we've talked about. I played with Sega. Desert Strike, I think it was called. It was a helicopter game where you went and rescued hostages, kind of like a Gulf War type theme. And that's it. I never played any big name Sega franchises, right? Like Toe Jam and Earl or I don't even know, Golden Axe, games like that. Nope. It was Lakers versus Celtics. It was Madden. It was PGA Golf. It was Sonic 1, and silly games like that, Road Rash, and I loved it. Sega. I played Sega Genesis well into the life of the PS1. I just loved the Sega Genesis. Never touched another Nintendo product again. Check out these Sega Genesis commercials, because remember, Sega does what Nintendo don't.
And so it was, late in the 20th century, that a pox fell upon the land, a plague of home videos that were limited in intelligence. There was brain drain, and terminal boredom swept the countryside. The maker looked down and was not pleased by what he saw. He said, "This is not good." brought forth Genesis, a system with twice the power, twice the intelligence, twice the challenge, twice the fun. Only a chosen few were called forth to experience this new dimension of high-definition graphics and stereo sound. And the maker saw what he had done and said, now that's not bad. Discover Genesis, and your world will never be the same.
What's the hottest 16-bit video game system with true arcade games, great graphics, real challenge, stereo sound, and the hottest library too, with games like Altered Beast, Golden Axe, Super Hang-On, Forgotten Worlds, Space Harrier 2, Revenge of Shinobi, Tommy Lasorda Baseball, Buxton, Last Battle, Arnold Palmer Tournament Golf, Super Thunderblade, Zoom, Thunder Force 2, Ghouls and Ghosts, Mystic Defender, Rambo 3, and more. Genesis from Sega. Genesis, the new generation in video games.
Who does the first ever 8-meg game, the ultimate in gameplay, voted Game of the Year? Who does the third generation of the hot arcade hit Shinobi and lifelike 16-bit graphics? Does. Who gives you 2 stereo speakers free so you hear the great stereo sound of Genesis? Just buy any 3 Sega Genesis brand games before March and get 2 stereo speakers free.
Dave Whitney wanted the real arcade games at home, so he got them. Mike Rogers wanted them too, but he got a Genesis system by Sega. Why? Check it out. Arcade screen left, Genesis screen right. If they look the same, you've answered correctly. Besides, Genesis has real-life action in sports games, flying games, and adventure games. The hottest library going. So if you want real arcade action, there's only 2 ways to get it.
Dave, we got your golden axe.
Or get Genesis by Sega. We bring the arcade experience home.
Baseball is my life. Gotta start Oz. Hot hitter.
Game time, Tommy.
I'm on my way. Hit away.
Bases loaded, Tommy. What do we do?
Bunt. Shift over. Dead full hitter. Double play. What a game. And even my friend Arnie's got a great game. And I get a kick out of soccer and new basketball.
Game's over, Tommy.
Ain't over till it's over. Genesis by Sega. It's a whole new ballgame.
Genesis brings you the dazzling powers of the Mystic Warriors, the Ninja, in Revenge of Shinobi. And 16-bit arcade racing action with Super Monaco Grand Prix. 16-bit arcade combat, skills, strategy, reflex, and rivalry. Experience the ninja magic of Revenge of Shinobi and the exhilarating rush of Super Monaco Grand Prix for the Genesis system. Sega Genesis brings the arcade experience home. Genesis system and game sold. Genesis brings you the 16-bit arcade challenge with Ghostbusters. 16-bit thrills in Ghouls and Ghosts. And 16-bit arcade action with Forgotten Worlds. Gruesome ghosts, ferocious foes, battles of power, of magic and might. Ghouls and Ghosts, Ghostbusters, and Forgotten Worlds are for the Genesis system. Sega Genesis brings the arcade experience home. Game sold separate.
Genesis does 16-bit arcade graphics.
You can't do this on Nintendo. Genesis does
16-bit sports action.
You can't do this on Nintendo. Genesis
Does.
Genesis
Does.
Genesis
Does.
Genesis
Does.
Genesis does.
Get Joe Montana free, Pat Riley free, Buster Douglas free, Super Monaco GP free, or Collins free. What Nintendo? Buy a 16-bit Genesis system between now and October 31st and get an extra game free.
It's the Sega Summer Sizzle. Buy a Sega Genesis system before July 1st and get a free powered base converter. It lets you play over 120 Sega Master and Genesis games. You also get an extra Genesis game or 2 Sega Master games, up to an $80 value, free. Wait, you already own a Genesis system? Buy 2 Genesis games and choose either the power base converter, a 3rd Genesis game, or 2 Sega Master games. Free. It's summer, dudes. And this is hot.
Woo, the video games, guys. That's the video game classic commercial conversations. Were they important to you? Were they a big part of your childhood? I know I would have much rather sat down with the LJNs than sit in front of the Nintendo, but I definitely got my share of it. Was it important in your life, or was it a side piece? Ooh, side piece. Nah, we don't talk about that on this channel. Anyway, Let me know. Leave your comments and enjoy the commercials. Hope you enjoyed them. See y'all next time. Good night now. Sega!